Defender of Freedom, uploading daylog for days 197 through 209 of the Second Galactic War. Hello Data Archive. We thank you for your patience with the continued delay on the distribution of these logs. As some may have already seen, I have received approval of both marriage and a C1 permit, and preparations have slowed log distribution. But the Galactic War awaits no one. In the past week, the gloom continues to grow, and the socialist machines continue to press towards Super Earth, resulting in Helldivers spread out among countless defenses of freedom. We last left off on day 197, amidst the major order to eradicate as many Terminids as possible in efforts to thwart the expansion of the gloom. Just because we don't understand the gloom doesn't mean we don't know how to stop it. The major order involves maintaining control over the planets Esker, Estanu, and Pandion 24, as well as destroying 5 million Battle Titans and 750 million Terminids. A daunting task, but a sure as democracy way for Helldivers to send a clear message to the mindless bugs. At the start of the day, Helldivers were split between completing the liberation of Crimsica and defending Pandion 24. This split of forces unfortunately did not provide enough support for either to succeed before the defense of Pandion 24 was lost. The reluctant withdrawal from Crimsica to assist Pandion 24 stemmed from over 2 weeks prior. Efforts for the initial liberation campaign began back on day 179, and by day 181, Crimsica reached 98% liberation. However, at this moment, new orders were received requiring an escalation of freedom, and to deploy to Socorro 3, our first encounter with the gloom. This caused the planet's campaign to be abandoned, and while Helldivers deployed an effort to maintain our hold, it was not enough, and over the course of 8 days, the liberation of the planet eventually reached 0. Helldivers would, however, not let up their hopes of liberating the planet, and within spare moments of our major order to hold back the automatons, the liberation of the planet gradually rose until where we are now. Finally, after over 18 days of efforts, Crimsica was finally liberated. However, the resistance of the Terminid strain on Pandion 24 was significantly higher than normal, and this maneuver to ensure Crimsica's liberation ended up costing us days. Fortunately, the campaign was uninterrupted, and 2 days later on day 199, the planet was finally liberated. Helldivers then shifted to liberate Akamar 4 through day 199 into the evening of day 200, when another Terminid outbreak from the gloom attacked Esker. Reacting quickly, Helldivers split between Akamar 4 and the defense of Esker. But by the morning of day 201, 2 more Terminid gloom incursions broke out on both Estanu and Socorro 3. Helldivers were then split across 4 fronts, until Esker was successfully defended in the afternoon of day 201. Our electronic enemies, however, saw our focus being spread thin on the Terminid front, and launched a cowardly attack on Matar Bay. Despite being spread thin and pressed by 3 different attacks from undemocratic alien scum, we will see that our enemy severely underestimated the strategic prowess of our Helldiver Corps. The successful defense of Esker will begin an unprecedented Super Earth defensive shutout. Helldivers spread out across each defense, while a majority focused on first finishing the liberation of Akamar 4. With Akamar done, this allowed the focus to shift to Estanu. The countless number of successful defenses of the planet goes up once again with another victory in the opening minutes of day 202. Moving on to the next, and all the requirements for the major order already fulfilled, Helldivers swung back to defense on Socorro 3, initially trailing by 25% to declaring victory by over 15%. The defense of Matar Bay was not voted as a priority with a focus on the Terminids for the major order. However, with Socorro 3 now secured, we then began to mount an incredible comeback defense against the socialist toasters. But in response to this effort, the cowardly trash cans launched another attack on Mastia in attempts to divert Helldiver forces, pushing for their attack on Matar Bay to succeed. With our forces split by midday, this left the comeback defense of Matar Bay at a significant risk, while the defense of Mastia held evenly. At the same time, High Command declared that the major order was successfully completed. Helldivers managed to accomplish an amazing feat against the stupid insects in their gloom, not only exterminating massive swaths of Terminids big and small, but also preventing the spread of the bugs to further planets. We have clearly succeeded in slowing the spread of the gloom by causing the Terminids to cower in their bug holes in fear of the Helldivers. We will squash this cloud-based terror, whether we discover what it is or not. And just a few minutes later, just as we expected, the gloom proceeded to spread further, enveloping many planets and yet another terminated attack on Orbital Prime. But, having seen this coming, the defensive shutout continued. Against all odds, the comeback defense of Matar Bay succeeded in the nick of time. And with Matar Bay taken care of, Helldivers redirected to the deserts of Orbital Prime, easily shutting down the defense by the evening. Now only leaving one defense left, Mastia was also stopped just a few hours later. With every defense now completed, Helldivers then shifted to Crux, the only available campaign on the terminated front, as the remaining planets are now all inaccessible due to the gloom. And in the morning of day 203, 2 more terminated outbreaks occurred on Esker and Pandion 24, followed by new orders from High Command. It has been identified that a new stratagem, Orbital Napalm Barrage, may be the key to our victories against the impenetrable bug Fart Cloud. However, critical shortages of polystyrene foam and scrap metal has caused production of these stratagems to stall, resulting in millions of super credits and citizen work hours to go to waste for every minute we continue to have these shortages. Luckily, Intel has identified a large automaton repository of unexpanded polystyrene on Vernon Wells, and of course, we can gather the scrap metal from, well, the scrap metal themselves. The requirements for the major order is to liberate Vernon Wells for the polystyrene reserve and decommission 500 million automatons. Sticking to their cowardly tactics of attacking us while we fend off terminated attacks, an automaton attack reached Marfark shortly after new orders were received. It was decided that the path to Vernon Wells would be through the very familiar Acer Pass. The majority of super destroyers deployed there with the remainder spread to stop the attacks on Marfark, Pandion, and Esker. And before the end of day 203, the automaton attack on Marfark was easily shut down. Despite our focus on the automaton major order, Helldivers had an easy time shutting down both bug defenses, continuing the consecutive successful defense streak to 9, with Pandion completing in the early morning of day 204, and Esker just hours later. With their attention no longer split, Helldivers are able to focus on Acer Pass for the remainder of the day, liberating the planet in the evening. Then the campaign for unexpanded polystyrene foam began immediately on Vernon Wells. Seemingly frustrated by the endless failed attacks, massive new attacks reached both Mastia and Fenrir 3 in the morning of day 205. But the attack on Mastia was particularly strange. The siege was estimated to last 10 days. But under 2 hours later, this automaton attack was withdrawn. Rumors are that this was caused by General Brash deploying to the planet and extracting in just 1 minute. And seeing that he was gone, the cowardly automatons immediately attacked again. With the focus on the invaluable unexpanded polystyrene foam, both of these attacks could not be contained, finally breaking the defensive win streak. And the gloom continued still to affect nearby planets, and yet another attack breached Pandion 24. But Vernon Wells remained the focus until the morning of day 206, when it was finally successfully liberated, securing the precious foam for Super Earth. At this point, we were unable to defend Pandion, and Helldivers split between Fenrir 3 and Mastia to reclaim our planets, succeeding in liberating Fenrir 3 in the evening of day 207. But by the morning of day 208, while we were able to obtain the polystyrene supply, not enough automaton scrap was collected along the way, resulting in the failure of the major order. And High Command updated us with, failure. We'll have to check in with Battlefield Systems on this one. And just a couple hours later, the new major order arrived. What? How are we gonna... Got any ideas?
Freedom.
I don't think that worked.
Freedom. Hellpods primed.
Affirmative.
No, we're not ready for that yet. The log isn't done. Hey, Helldiver, get out of there!
Hellpod launch suspended.
Sorry.
Alright, well, we'll get the brief directly from High Command. High Command has indicated that the Orbital Napalm Barrage will unfortunately be delayed. However, there is little time to reconcile. A massive terminated outbreak has erupted out of the gloom into the Jinshi sector. Helldivers must defend our planet and begin emergency evacuation of our citizens, who have only just resettled for a couple of weeks. The major order is to defend against 4 terminated attacks and maintain control over Gatria, Fact Bay, and Garharan. Following the receipt of new orders, massive attacks broke out on Gautria and Fact Bay. And notably, the attack on Gautria originated from Trandor in the Sten sector. And although warp links appear to have been established into the Sten sector now, they have not been authorized for Helldivers to deploy. Thus, for the remainder of the day into the morning of day 209, the defense of both planets trended well, until Gautria was successfully defended. Reinforcements from Gautria then supported Fact Bay, resulting in the success of both defenses. However, just minutes later, an enormous Terminid outbreak broke out on Gautria once again, nearing the size of the one we saw in Socorro 3. High Command also authorized the first campaign into the Sten sector on Trandor for the option to attack the attack at its source. However, by the end of the day, the defense on Gautria is trending well, and it is expected that we will succeed this defense. This concludes this data log for days 197 to 209 Data Archive, but we look forward to the opportunity to begin a campaign on Trandor to finally begin liberating the Sten sector. We are deploying Helldivers to Gautria.